Welcome to the Orange Cactus Coffee Podcast with Mike Kincaid and Jake Goebel. Join them as they experience specialty coffee and document their journey. These friends explore roasts and roasting methods, brewing equipment and techniques, and review the cafes they visit along the way.
Thanks, Brioni, and thank you for joining us for episode 73 of the Orange Cactus Coffee Podcast, where Mike and I talk a little bit about Handsome Her, the feminist cafe in Melbourne, Australia that caught some Twitter news recently, but we put that to bed after this conversation, and then our experience at Step 1 Coffee, give you a brew tip of the week, and a little bit of coffee history. Let's jump right in.
Figure it out. Awesome. Yep, we're going to figure it out right now. But, Mike, it's too late. Welcome to episode 73 of the Orange Cactus Coffee Podcast. I am Jake Goebel, the gentleman I was speaking with, and I use the term gentleman very, very loosely, is Mike Kincaid, my partner in coffee crime, over here while we are experiencing specialty coffee and documenting our journey. That's what the show is about. Welcome. If this is your first time listening, if it is not, welcome back.
Oh, you waiting for me? Yeah, interesting thing about that word gentleman. It's actually one of those words that have changed over the years. It used to just be a matter-of-fact type of statement. Like, He's a gentleman. He's got money. He's got prestige. Now it's more of position in the community, a standing, you know.
He doesn't have to work. He has money without working. He's a gentleman of
inherited
leisure.
Some money, whatever. But now it's more like, did he open the door for me? Oh, he's a gentleman.
Right.
It's no longer...
No, it's conduct.
It's no longer a connection with your standing or your bank account.
Yeah.
Which is interesting how words can change meaning over the years. And, we talk about that a little bit on here with roast degree.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, actually, before you get into roast degree and how that meaning has changed, I always thought that
here we go.
A gentleman gives up his seat for a lady or for the elderly, no matter where they are. If you're sitting and a lady walks in and needs somewhere to sit.
Like if you're on a bus.
Like you're on a
train.
Bus. You're on a bus.
Plane.
Automobile.
Car.
Whatever it is. A gentleman gives up his seat.
Yeah.
For a lady. And does other things, right? But that's one of the things.
Just a mark of respect.
Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah. You come sit. Make
I'll
yourself
stand.
comfortable. I will stand.
Yeah.
So that you may sit.
You rest.
Does that qualify as gentlemanly conduct?
Some might be offended by that today.
Yeah. That's probably not the type of people I want to be around if they're offended at kindness. You were nice to me. How dare you?
Well, they assume that, or they believe it's an assumption of weakness. You think I can't stand just as much as you can stand?
You can't. I am stronger.
Well, maybe you're not. But
no, I am.
Oh, you are.
I mean,
you're stronger than everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone.
That's what you tell your kids.
Yes.
Well, the strongest man in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I got an 8-year-old, so I'm still the strongest man in the world.
Absolutely.
And then I show them the picture. I met J.J. Watt once, and I tell them the story about how I shook his hand, and he's huge. And I felt like a small child.
Yeah.
The way my hand fit into his huge paw.
Yeah.
And then they remind me, oh, Papa, I think J.J. Watt might be a little stronger.
That's great.
And J.J. Watt is a football player for the Houston Texans, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah, thank you.
Follow the football analogy there. So anyhow.
I thought he was a politician.
It's one of the house rules at a cafe in Melbourne, Australia. Called
rules?
Handsome Her. There are 3 house rules, Mike. One is women have priority seating.
Okay.
Rule number 2 is men will be charged an 18% premium to reflect the gender pay gap of 2016, which is donated to a women's service. And rule number 3 is respect goes both ways. Now, this is Handsome Her. It is a cafe by women for women.
Oh, okay. I'm with you.
I already shared my thoughts in a Daily Ristretto.
Did you now?
But I was excited to hear what your thoughts are. And I said, well, I train my children to stand for women anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And to give up their seats not only to women, but to elderly folks, and let them go first in line and defer to others.
Yeah.
And I teach my boys specifically to use their
service,
their great strength for righteousness' sake.
Yeah.
That's why the good Lord has given you the skills, the strengths, and the abilities that he has, is so that you can use them for the benefit of others.
Absolutely.
Now, having said that, and we did talk about rule number 1, women have priority seating. What do you think about rule number 2? that men are to be charged 18% more? Or would you even get that far? If you knew that it was a cafe by women for women, would you go into it?
Is the answer to inequality inequality?
My math is bad, so I don't know how to answer that. It sounded like there was
that's the first thought I
some
have.
math equation in there.
That there's no denying that there's inequality in different areas. And that word is one of those gentleman, quote unquote, words that have different meanings and has changed over the years, at least from my perspective. But my first initial thought, and this is something that I would think a good conversation could be had, because I don't want to discredit that people have a perspective and an experience, and they are trying to right either that experience or correct a wrong or influence something that they see as a problem. And so I like to first make sure I understand where they're coming from. So I'd like to know more about that, because initially I have a disconnect. But my first reaction, though, that aside...
Yeah, I was going to address that for you for a second, if you'd like some more info.
Well, my point is, that aside, giving that assumption that I would like more information, when you want to balance the scales by putting more weight on the other end, you get an equally unbalanced scale. By saying the answer to any type of inequality is by making the ones that have, quote unquote, benefit or profited from that inequality now kind of suffer, and make those that have suffered now profit. Instead of balancing and equaling it out, we just shift the weight. You create another inequality in the other way, and now you create kind of an enemy. You create a target. You create a group of people that, hey, they've been the ones benefiting over the years. Now we're going to make them pay. And a lot of times it's those that actually aren't responsible for the inequality.
Yeah.
It's the ones that have been lumped into this group. You sway the pendulum to the other side, and you create more problems. So those were kind of general terms. You picking up what I'm
picking up what you're putting down. You're saying the conversation is much larger, and it's challenging to...
Well, you don't promote equality by charging one group more.
Right.
You just don't. That's not equality. That's not equal. Now it's unequal. But you're saying there's a debt to be paid, that there's victims that have to be paid back. I think you can promote that, and I think the best way to promote something like that is through generosity. Through saying, hey, we have a program, you can opt to pay more. Anybody, men, women, children, anybody that has the means to pay more, we have a fund that goes into helping underpaid women, and that's what they can be about. So out of your heart, you're motivated to help us fight this inequality.
Yeah.
We would love your support.
Yeah.
But now creating a rule, creating kind of a socialist setting where if you want to be here, but people have a right to not be there. So
that's what
they can exercise that right. So they can say, well, I'm not feeling it, so I'm not going to be there.
That's where I land firmly there. One is, to me, there is this, well, it's a vegan cafe, so I probably wouldn't go anyways. But anyhow, that's kind of beside the point.
What do you mean? You're all about that vegan.
I'm not about that vegan. Yeah. So anywhere where I see, they're establishing that this gender pay gap is fact.
There's a lot of debate about that.
That is fact. That is the problem. Mm-hmm. That is a problem. And I'm going to charge you more in order to solve that problem. The whole premise to me is not, it's not there. And
I haven't experienced it.
I will put a link in the show notes to an economist that I greatly respect and that touches on this. But anyhow, I don't want to get too far into that because it's not necessarily about coffee. All I can tell you is that I have not experienced this.
And I can say, coming from a point as a manager, having known the pay grade of many people underneath me,
yes,
I've seen the reverse quite often, where I have individuals and I've seen where the females are paid more. And I've seen where they're paid equal. And I've seen where, okay, they've been with the company longer, so they're paid more. I've never seen in the industries that I've worked in, and maybe it's select, but I can only speak from personal experience.
Select industries.
Sure. But I'm in one that gets pointed at a lot. The financial sector.
No.
Sure.
Not where you work.
Well, I'm just saying they point at them for a lot of information, a lot of demographic information.
Demographic information. I think the majority of it is in the entertainment industry.
Which
in 2016, that's what I was going to say before, there was this BBC study where the on-air talent, women were paid less than the men.
On-air
regardless.
Talking about actors?
Television shows.
Actors and actresses?
Yes. Well, on-air talent is not necessarily an actor, like news hosts.
Yeah.
Weather, things like that. They would have women whose shows were outperforming their male counterparts make less. And so you would think that if my show was doing better, that I would make more money. If the show's making the business more money, I would make more money. But kind of systematically or systemically, whichever you want to use there, they were paying their women talent less than their men talent. Yeah. And they kind of say, well, how do you kind of explain this?
Sure. What's going on here?
So, and I think that's kind of what they were, using.
As you mentioned that, I think of another one that my first reaction was like, wow, what is going on here? It was the U.S. women's soccer team, who are quite good at what they do.
Better than the men.
Just saying it bluntly. Look, on now.
I'm not trying to pick on dudes. I'm really not.
If we're looking at numbers, though.
But if we look at the numbers. And I think in
sports, numbers have a meaning.
Championships.
Yeah.
How many ships have you sailed on?
How many gold medals
How many World Cups does the U.S. men's soccer team have?
Compared to their counterpart.
You keep talking. I'll do I don't think the U.S. have any. I don't think the men have any.
In the World Cup standing?
In the World Cup.
No.
Only the women have won the World Cup.
Sure. And many other.
I will double check, but I am like 99.999% positive.
I think I'm with you. But yeah, let's make sure. And so they were saying, hey, here's what the women are paid as a whole. And here's what like 3 of the top men are paid. And it's like equal. You know what I mean? It's like it's an astronomical difference. And I thought at that point, okay, that there is something wrong. Now, to be fair, you also have to look at
0, by the way. Brazil 5, Germany 4, Italy 4, Argentina and Uruguay 2, England, France, Spain 1. Yeah. U.S. 0.
Not on there. Now you're going to look at the women?
I'm going to
see what the women. Now, the one thing I was just going to say
that doesn't. Hold on. The championships don't necessarily mean viewership, sponsorship, attendees.
How much money are they bringing in? How much money are they bringing in? Whether they're winning or not, and there's just something to be said. You just got to keep that in mind. Yes, they might be winning, but how much money are their games bringing in? U.S.
women, the most successful international women's soccer program. 3 World Cups, 4 Olympic golds, 7
amazing
CONCACAF, whatever, Gold Cups, and 10 Algarves. Algarves?
You're good.
Algarves cups.
Yeah. How many Algarves does the men have?
0. Look, let me tell you, the women's U.S. soccer team are ballers. Straight,
they're amazing.
Worldwide assassins. Sorry, men. You ain't there.
They're not there.
You ain't there.
So you have to.
Then that doesn't mean, I'm not trying to say that just because you win championships, you're better or you're more profitable.
You're more valuable.
You're more valuable. But there's something to it, especially when you look at the success that they had and the accommodations that they were given.
Exactly.
Like the hotel rooms. You cannot say there's not something going on there.
You can't. You have to just be aware of that. But then, as we spoke earlier today, when we were talking about what is the value of something being sold, and this is an analogy, it's what someone's willing to pay.
Yep. The market decides.
The market decides. And so you have to hold those two things in tension. Look at the whole picture. That's what it's always about. The broad picture is that there's 2 sides of it. And the other side is how much money are they bringing in? Yes, they're winning, but is there the same amount of revenue for the merchandise? Is there the same amount of revenue for the games, for the paid endorsements? Yeah. Do they get, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, because if it's close, I'm sure that's still skewed because it was so way off. And the figures in the article I read going back a year, I think. But
yeah, it made pretty big news a year ago, and it was. I mean, for those of us,
it was shocking how far off it was.
For those of us who were just kind of casual fans,
yeah,
or just kind of catch soccer every once in a while. Yeah. I'm not a soccer fan or a football fan, however you want to call it, world football fan.
Sure,
I'm an American football fan.
Yeah,
but Mikey does follow the world football.
I enjoy it. I don't follow it as closely.
And so when it came out, like the accommodations that they were putting the champs in,
Yeah.
as opposed to the accommodations that they were putting the not champs in,
The non-champ.
it was staggering. It was staggering. It was like, it seemed like it was like there was something more to it. Like
Exactly.
they needed more. Now I don't even know if there's money to pay. Do Olympians get paid? Do World Cup athletes get paid?
They do.
Or do they just get taken? Do they get their bills and things taken care of while they're competing? I don't know. I can't answer
There's a prize money. There's money.
So if the ladies are going around and kicking everybody's butt around the world, we're putting them up in Motel 6 instead of the Hilton, I just, if all there is money for Motel 6, okay. But when the dudes are staying in the Hilton,
especially when they're representing the country.
US, yeah. And the accommodations that they had were pretty poor, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, especially in comparison.
Especially in comparison.
I think we got off on that little tangent just because
because we wanted to talk about women's soccer.
They're great.
Because they're ballers.
If you want to watch soccer that's actually enjoyable.
If you want to watch soccer where people don't throw themselves on the ground.
There's a little hustle.
And grab their shit. They're just tougher. I'm sorry. They're not a bunch of babies throwing themselves on the ground, holding their shins, holding their ears. Just go on YouTube and watch, soccer injuries or whatever, where dude flicks his ear, throws himself on the ground, or they get bumped and come on, man. And you can save your hate mail. Actually, you know what? Send your hate mail to mike@orangecactuscoffee.com.
No, I enjoy both soccer. Both soccers.
Both soccers?
Both soccers.
You enjoy all soccers.
I enjoy watching both.
Many soccers.
Many a soccers. And I will say, I agree with you. I've found watching they just seem like they're hustling. They're trying harder. They want it more. And you can't say, well, it shows.
And that's not always a reflection. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys do have a lot of championships, not as many as the Pittsburgh Steelers. Still, their franchise is valued more. Mm-hmm. It's a more valuable franchise.
Sure.
There's something there.
There is something there. And you can't just say, well, you can't just throw it all out and say, well, wait, let's all be equal. Let's set a new law. It
doesn't work that way.
Let's set a new law that...
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
So anyhow, on to coffee. Let me tell you what the market rewards. The market rewards good coffee and good service and good locations. If you don't have those things, you don't have successful coffee shops normally. Now, we went to a place today. Coffee experience. And it does not have a good location as far as visibility from the street, a lot of foot traffic, a lot of vehicle traffic.
I knew it existed, but I couldn't tell you where it was.
However, they have an excellent location.
Wait, what?
Meaning like the interior is large where you can have meetings and things.
The space itself.
The space itself is very good for customers. It's not set up well for coffee and the function of the bar, but it is set up for meetings and you can fit a lot of people in there. And I'm referring to Step One Coffee.
Yeah.
I'd been there a couple times before. I've talked about it on this show.
You have.
But now...
We've got a slogan.
I went and I grabbed the Michael Kincaid and I brought him with me. And I got to share with you Mike's way of getting out of paying for coffee today.
Yeah, please do, because I think maybe people could use it.
Yeah. So instead of, Mike likes to use even though he's driving, right? So picture this. Mike is driving, and then we get out of the car, we walk into the cafe, and then he normally does I forgot my wallet.
Oops.
I forgot my wallet. Like, where's your wallet? You're driving. Where's your license? We're going to get stopped, pulled over in the car.
Wear it. You don't break the pant line, okay? If you want a nice, clean pant line, you don't have a wallet in your pocket.
So there's that. That's his trick. But I've been calling him out on it, and so he's had to resort to other tactics. Mm-hmm. So today, he did the conversation in line trick. So as we walked in, I noticed a previous customer. He's a Vietnam vet and just a very interesting guy. And I said hi to him again. His name is Mike. That's probably one of the reasons why
That's why we hit it off.
Remembered him. Anyhow, so I introduced him. Mike introduced himself, and Mike, the two Mikes were talking. And then the veteran Mike old timer Mike. He says, "Are you guys in line? Do you want to go order some coffee?" And then he kind of started talking like he was gonna buy us coffee. It was kind of bizarre. He's like, "We get whatever you want. You get whatever you want."
He did say that, didn't
Get
he?
whatever you want. And so I stepped in line, and then the two mics kind of backed out of line. And I
So
waited
good.
a few minutes,
Coordinated.
while I was talking with the cashier, and then I realized he's not coming. Nobody's
I'm
coming.
on my own here.
I'm on my own.
was
So I had to order and pay for everything by myself again.
You didn't have to. I didn't expect you to, honestly. I thought I would order after you.
You would still be there. We would still be there waiting in line with you talking right now.
Yeah.
Had I not intervened. And it's my fault. This is victim blaming.
You know, it's one of those that, what is it? You take advantage of an opportunity.
Yeah.
Because you went out of your way to flag down this mic, bring him over.
That's true.
Introduce us.
That was probably a tactical error.
Exactly. So you brought it on yourself.
Knowing what kind of character he was.
That he just
A
likes to
talker.
chat.
He
talker. Likes to chat.
I knew he was a talker.
And so sometimes I find it hard to end those or direct those conversations without coming across rude. Like, hey, I'm going to go order coffee.
But I mean, if you go into a cafe and you see somebody you know,
Yeah.
do you avoid them because you know they're chatters? No, we're in a cafe. We're in a coffee house. This is kind of the place.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
A cough.
We've all
This is
been
a
there.
place to cough. No, this is a place to talk.
There's a place to coffee. I know. I'm with you. Well, it's funny because their slogan there is great coffee, great cause.
Yeah.
And I think great people. We enjoyed the people.
It is interesting, though. They actually lower their prices a little bit, and they take a percentage of their proceeds and donate them to causes that they're passionate about.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is a little different than charging people more in order to donate to a cause that they're passionate about.
Yeah.
It's different. Different model.
It's a different approach.
It's a different model.
It sure is.
Yeah.
It sure is.
So I ordered some espresso, but last time I ordered regular espresso, it wasn't very good. I had to add sugar just to drink it. So today I ordered a Cubano. Some Cubanos instead, where they put a little bit of sugar in there.
It's infused with sugar. They put it on top of the portafilter, on top of the coffee in the portafilter. And he was using sugar in the raw. I saw him sprinkle it in there.
There you go.
1 pack per double shot.
1 pack per double shot. And then also we tried mochas.
Yeah, that's usually espresso with a little bit of steamed milk, and they're using Ghirardelli chocolate syrup.
Is it Gira or Gira?
Ghirardelli.
Ghirardelli.
I don't know. That's how I say
Ghirardelli?
it. I don't say
Ghirardelli?
Ghirardelli. I think of those
Do you say
Christmas commercials.
Do you say Lamborghini or Lamborghini? Lamborghini?
Ghirardelli.
Ghirardelli.
Ghirardelli. Is it
Lamborghini.
German? Italian?
I think it's Italian.
Italian?
Italian.
Ghirardelli.
That was good.
Yeah.
I think I might take that soundbite.
Okay. Well, they were using that one.
They're using Ghirardellis.
Ghirardelli. You got the Ghirardelli stuff. The chocolate
It's
stuff.
using it Ghirardelli.
Yeah, don't use that fancy stuff. Just give me the Hershey's.
Give me that Hershey's. Hershey's is normally too
Hershey's fat free.
chalky, too sweet, too chalky.
do that.
I don't know. So anyhow, so we had some mochas, and then we also had some pour-overs. And I don't know what the blend was because I told her to surprise me, and then I forgot to ask her.
Oh, good.
I forgot to ask her. But the Nighthawk blend, I don't know if it was Nighthawk, but I'm going to call it the Nighthawk blend.
It's a cool name.
It was no longer there. But all this coffee is from Prescott Coffee Roasters, and they just have great coffee.
We enjoy their coffee. I really do. I thought it was good. I thought if we want to just jump right in and get this ball rolling, I thought the espresso, I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was very bitter, but obviously it was infused with sugar, so it was a little bit sweeter. Not your third wave, not any strong flavor to the face.
Yeah,
Not your favorite.
No flavor. I like to be slapped in the face by my espresso with something besides acidity, some sort of flavor. Mm-hmm. Like whether it's tomatoes,
Yeah, sure.
whether it's chocolate, whether it's almond,
something. Blueberry,
whether it's blueberries to the face,
Rice Krispie, Pixie Stick, you name it. Something. Yeah, so I would agree with you there. The mocha was pretty good. It was
good.
A little sweeter than I like a mocha.
It's because they really should put 2 shots in a 12-ouncer.
What do they do?
1 shot, 12 ounce, 2 shot, 16 ounce.
1 shot as in one shot? Like
1 shot.
not just one pull, which is a double shot.
1 single solitary shot for 12 ounces.
Ooh.
2 single solitary shots, 2 double solitary, 2 double duplicitous shots for 16 ounces.
Really? Okay, I'm with you. Yeah, so I think
That's
it
why
could have
kinda
benefited
tastes
from a
like
little more
chocolate
coffee.
milk, yeah.
And then thirdly, we had the pour over, which you don't know what it was because you said surprise me.
And then I forgot to ask because she said I have like the Golden Pond blend.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, whatever. Because
I did hear her say Sumatra at one time.
Well, I asked about the Sumatra because that's what was up on the board.
Yeah.
But she said we're all out.
Ooh.
So they moved on from the Nighthawk to the Sumatra, but now they're out of the Sumatra.
Can't keep it
so
in.
So now it was Golden Pond or Golden something or other.
Yeah. So what was your favorite?
The pour over.
Yeah, mine too. I enjoyed the pour over. It was flavorful.
Yeah, in fact, I'm still sipping on it right now. Still drinking it.
I think it could be a little stronger. I think it was good, though, but I think it could be improved. But overall, I enjoyed it. I would have it again.
It was good.
The nice thing you pointed out when we were standing there is like, hey, look at their pour-over prices, which is interesting because their pour-over versus batch brew was $1 more.
Yes.
Exactly $1. But still, the pour-over was only like $3.20.
$3.15 for 16 ounces.
So comparatively to other shops and pour-overs, it's much cheaper.
Much cheaper. Yeah.
But that goes back to the thing. Should we pay her $1 more for doing the pour-over? At the end, the consumer, I should be getting the same quality product. But they're saying in their pricing model that this is better.
Are they saying that it's better, or are they saying that the cost to make it is more, therefore I pass that cost on to you? Or both?
Well, to me, as a consumer, I only want to pay more if it's better. So if the way you go about making it does not make it better, then why am I paying more?
Right. But I don't know if that's really the case. I
don't know either.
You say that, and that makes sense. That's logical. Hey, if it's we only charge more if it's better. But is that reality? I don't think that's reality. I think that sometimes it might not be better, but we charge more because of
it takes longer.
Because the cost of labor is more, without really saying. But now, subconsciously, are we also saying that it is better?
I think so.
I think the consumer thinks so.
Well, absolutely. Anytime you're, told to pay more for something, you hope that you're getting a higher quality product in some form or fashion. It's not like you hire someone to come pull weeds and it's like, well, I can do it the quick way, same results, or I can take an extra 2 hours and do it the slow way, same results, but I'll charge you more. It's like
doesn't make any sense.
So at the end, I'm not going to have any weeds in my front yard. Correct, but the slow way looks a little better. So if you're standing from the window watching me, I actually wear this ensemble that makes it look fancy.
That is nice.
Yeah, I do this little song and dance as I pull them.
Instead of just standing there with a mask over your face and spraying it with Weed Be Gone.
Yeah, I actually do this little jig. I can dress up like Ronald McDonald.
So I'm
standing out in front of your yard pulling weeds.
Well, I don't want to get too far off topic here, but that might be worth it. I'm picking up what you're putting down there, though. You're saying you don't get any points for difficulty.
No, I'm just pointing out an observation. I don't know.
And Keys to the Shop talked about that in their latest one. They had batch brew versus pour over part 2.
Deuce.
What they didn't cover, though.
I haven't heard that one yet, so I'm going to rely on you to tell the truth.
What they didn't cover.
I know.
On shaky ground here.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Ryan, if he goes off. I'll correct him next time.
Remember the study that you quoted by Socrates or Solphanes or whatever?
I think it's Socratic, yeah.
Socratic?
About the mass, the extraction levels based on correlation to beverage mass.
That thing.
Yeah, if that made sense.
So I wonder about that with roasting as well.
Yeah, like the more you roast at a time, is there a dive in quality in some respect? Is there a point where you're like, okay, that's too much?
Yeah. Like, what's the limit? If I roasted 1,000 pounds at a time?
Wasn't it like, remember the Neptune? Wasn't there something like that? Yeah, there were like 1,000 kilo roasters.
I don't know. That's huge, though.
It was huge. Huge.
I turned my whole house into
That's where your
roaster.
black silk comes from, buddy.
Yeah.
The Neptune.
I like black silk.
I know you do.
Folgers. Big shout out to Folgers.
Do you think that dark roasts have to have this kind of appealing name like Nighthawk and Black Silk to make you look past?
Onyx.
Yeah.
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 That's asphalt.
No, it's not asphalt. It's It's freshly,
Blacktop?
glistening asphalt.
Glistening asphalt.
Fresh asphalt. Asphalt.
Love the smell of fresh
to the
asphalt.
It's a tough word to say.
Asphalt to the face. I've had that. I've experienced that. Not in a cup of coffee, though.
No, yeah, pushing the prowler.
Yeah, I've had asphalt to the face.
Boom, there he goes. There he goes.
But I wonder if there's a balance, if there's a correlation somewhere there. Different beans, different types, different methods. Is coffee better in smaller amounts?
Well, we like to tell the consumer there is because we put an emphasis on small batch, anything. Small batch whiskey, small batch roasted, small batch bread.
Yeah.
We try to say, hey, this is made in small batch. And is that just a line to say, I can't afford a bigger roaster?
I mean, we charge more for cars. I mean, we don't, right? We say, hey, this Rolls
Limited
Royce.
edition. Yeah.
This Rolls Royce right here, the seats were made by hand, or the leather steering wheel cover, the steering wheel itself. This was covered. Somebody did this.
15 cows.
Yeah. And 30 people
have been
went in
over the course of a year. Right? We actually didn't have enough cows. We had to wait for them to breed and grow up.
Something like that.
And this car was made.
And a human
hand-stitched
your leather steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make it better than a machine stitching your steering wheel?
And in fact, they sat in it for the course of 3 months to soften it.
I don't know. There's obviously something there because the market will support it. The market does support it across multiple industries.
Absolutely. But it gets down to the fact, is that adding value, or does that just make us think it's adding value? Or is it just enough to add value? That's the principle of value. If it's valuable to you,
it's valuable.
Then it's got value. If you think it makes it special, hey, my car has special leather from bulls up in the Swiss Alps.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that were basically skinned alive because it kept the hide fresher.
Horrible.
Oh, yeah, it is horrible.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
I don't know. I was trying to just give an analogy.
Yeah,
they do.
You lost me.
Okay.
You lost me.
Okay, like Napoleon Dynamite. They were first shot in the head in front of a school bus.
And then skinned.
Okay. But then it was frozen immediately so that it kept the freshness of the hide.
That sounds...
So in the end, maybe the product isn't much better, but because of the process, you think it's better, or you're intrigued by the process, you're willing to pay more.
Yeah.
So I think it has value.
So the Socratic study is that there is a relationship between, and they didn't talk about that in Keys to the Shop, and maybe they need a volume 3. Maybe they need a third round 3 for the batch brew versus pour over.
I think so.
Maybe I'll shoot Chris an email with that thing and say, hey, just saying, you guys could talk about this.
Well,
episode 3.
I would agree. I think there's
the batch brew versus pour over, because I'd love to hear it.
2 approaches to it. One, I think, is hardcore numbers, which are hard to do in coffee. Right?
Like TDS numbers?
Yeah, like just extraction, just boiling it down to, does this produce a better cup? And then also numbers about how controllable is it? Because we know with pour overs, you can quickly change the brew strength. You can change the grind. You can adjust how much. You know, it's easy to control the end product in a one-off. In a batch brew, you can't. So you're trying to find a one-size-fits-all, if that's all you're going with.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's that, and then there's just the theatrics of it. And that's
the
personal.
Ceremony.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to say theatrics? Why can't you say ceremony? The
I think it
theatrics
would
sounds
be better
silliness, like we're puppets on a string. Like, oh, look at this is ridiculous. But ceremony makes it sound sophisticated. Makes it sound important.
I like theatrics. Just think if we were all in a shop dressed as Ronnie McDonald.
Ronnie's coming for you.
Ronnie pouring our own little pour over.
What about Itchy the Cactus setup? They did talk about a double pour, like people doing with the left and the right, and I'm just wow,
blown away.
I don't know if I'm going to try that or not.
What do they call it? Ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous. Yeah.
Maybe you should ask him. Are you? And if he says no, go. Okay, he's right-handed. I want that cup.
Yeah. Hey, that's the first thing that came to my mind when they were talking about it, is to ask the barista, hey, are you left or right-handed?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm right-handed. I'll take the one on your right, please.
Great. That one, please.
I'll give the one on your left to someone else.
What if you walk in there doing double hands, blindfolded, pouring water all over the counter?
Okay, it cost $5 more for the blindfolded version.
Yeah, we use 1,000 grams of water, but usually only about 500 make it in. So it comes out to about a 15-1, give or take.
What about if he's standing on his head doing it upside down?
Using his feet?
You know what they did talk about, though? Something that was cool.
What's that?
A straw check.
What's a straw check?
So in bars, like they'll check drinks, they'll put a straw in the drink.
Yeah.
Close the top up with a finger, right?
Take a taste?
Lift it out, take a little taste.
Interesting.
Isn't that so cool?
Quality control.
Quality control. You just do that with every single cup of coffee. That's good. That's good. You're going to like this.
Good enough. Here you go.
Meh. Not my best, but here it is.
That's interesting. I didn't know. I mean, that makes sense. You don't have to.
I've never seen that in a bar, but then again, I don't frequent many bars. I never have. So
yeah.
I'm missing out on that particular, or a lot of techniques and culture and style and whatnot.
Yeah.
From alcohol bars.
I don't think that's bad. But here's the thing. I was just thinking about this today or yesterday. When I make a pour over, after doing it so many times, I can just tell that this is going to be good or not good based on my technique, based on how saturated the ground's, based on my numbers.
What about if the beans were skunky?
What do you mean? Well, I know you got to start with good beans.
What about if your beans are bad and you never knew it? How do you know the beans are good?
It's very rare that they would change that much from yesterday.
Do you give them a sniff before you go?
Oh, yeah. Sniff the whole bean, sniff the ground beans. Sometimes I take a pinch and put it under my tongue.
Okay.
It's all good stuff.
I'm good with that.
But I'm saying that aside, if you know you've got a good roast because you had it yesterday and it's not going to change that much, you just can tell that when you make the pour over, you hit your numbers, you hit your bloom, you can tell everything's saturated, you're coming in at the right time. You just know, this is a good one. Boom. Because you followed the recipe.
Yeah.
So I don't have to try it. And then there's times like I know it's bad because I forgot to dump out the preheat water. So I've got the papery water sitting in the bottom.
Or you're looking at the grounds in there and you're like, I ground them incorrectly. I'm at the wrong level. Do I dump these beans and start over?
What do I do?
And that's what I had to do yesterday. I was making the missus an iced king cup.
Yeah.
A Japanese style.
Okay.
And I ground it. The setting was on really coarse.
Coarser.
No, it was like
coarse.
French press coarse.
Like coarse.
More coarse.
Like hit it with a hammer.
Yeah. Like
gotcha.
That. And I like it. I've dialed in my Japanese iced coffee. I go fine.
Fine.
Super fine in the fellow. I
Gotcha.
go fellow fine.
Yeah. That's a problem.
And so what do?
You just dumped it.
I dumped it and I started
You
over.
didn't try like more pours with more agitation to combat it?
No, because remember, if I put 150 grams of ice in the device, then I only have 150 other grams of water.
Not much water to work with.
Not much water to work with. Now, if I was making a full one, then I may have,
tried to
compensate, do whatever. But because it's iced, it chopped my water in half, and I was like, I can't do this. I need a faster extraction. I need a more concentrated extraction.
Yeah.
I need the magic to happen a little bit faster because I got less water to work with.
Yeah. That makes sense. Sometimes you just got to throw it away and start over. But see, you knew after doing it so many times that this ain't going to work.
This ain't going to work.
And I think that's the key. So you might not have to do the straw thing. That's what we're talking about. You might not have to do the straw, to dip it, or sip off the side, pick the side that you don't think they're going to drink from and give it a quick sip.
That was the other one. That was the other thing that I was going to do is like.
I've had them do that to me. Yeah. Yeah, this is good. You're going to like this.
Drink from this side.
You're going to like this.
You're going to like that.
We've ordered a couple drinks before from a coffee shop in the drive-thru, and they go to hand them to us, and they're like, oh, wait, which one's which? They forgot to write on. So he goes back in, and he's like, oh, did you taste them? Which one? Did you figure it out?
How do you know now?
He's like, no, this one's the Irish cream. I know.
What method did you use to discover that?
Yeah, exactly.
I actually asked the guy who made it, and he licked the side right there.
He said, most definitely.
He licked a little bit of Irish cream syrup. It's not at the top where your lips are going to touch. It was on the bottom, but he did lick your cup. Is that going to be a problem?
Because 70% of statistics are right 50% of the time.
Yes, I thought 84% of all statistics were made up.
Well, that's only of the remaining 30%.
Gotcha.
So 84 of 30.
All right, let's get into coffee history with Michael Kincaid.
Coffee history with Michael Kincaid. Yeah, kind of boring, but listen anyway.
All right, so coffee history. We've been going over the art and craft of coffee. This is a book by Kevin Sinnott.
Kevin.
And published by Query Books. Now, Kevin was a guest on Keys to the Shop, wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah, that's a great episode. If you love coffee, you're going to love Kevin. All right. Commodity versus specialty coffee.
Here we go.
Today's commercial coffee production may seem like one big mass of beans, but generally, it splits worldwide into commodity and specialty coffee. Commodity coffee includes everything from price-conscious diner coffee to coffee produced to add its caffeine extract to aspirin. This coffee's taste is secondary to its purpose, which is to deliver a brown beverage containing caffeine. It may seem unromantic, perhaps, but understanding this aspect is necessary to understanding coffee and its terminology. We've talked about that before. In fact, in the beginning, Mike, we kind of said we want coffee to be more than a caffeine delivery system.
Yeah.
Not everybody agrees with that.
No.
And I think that comes into the purpose, the vision, the mission. What do you want your cafe to be?
Yes.
Our desire for our cafe is for it to be more than a caffeine delivery system.
Mm-hmm.
That means we are going to alienate a certain portion of the population that we could perhaps gain as customers if we had that option available to them.
Caffeine addicts.
Yeah. Specialty coffee is grown, processed, shipped, roasted, sold, and brewed with taste as the primary focus. In general, specialty coffee prices vary so much because they consider production cost as well as taste, a subjective variable. Overall, commodity market conditions affect specialty coffee's price. No actual botanical or legal distinctions exist between commodity and specialty coffees. In this book, we focus primarily on specialty coffees, not to be snobby, but because it's more practical.
Nice.
Next time, we will talk about coffee plants and botanical classifications.
That'll be a good one. We'll kind of move forward into not just, off of history a little bit and in the plant itself.
I'll have a link to that book in the show notes, and you can get your own book and follow along.
The Orange Cactus Coffee Book Club.
The Orange Cactus Coffee Read Along.
The Read Along. So
maybe somebody could hire us to read their books for them.
Or you.
Boom.
There you go.
Mikey can't read.
No, I can't. Well, I can, but
he does numbers.
Mispronunciation.
Yeah.
Is prevalent.
Yeah.
Among my speaking. So very good. So we have talked about that. Commodity versus specialty. There is a big difference. Commodity, it's a commodity. It's traded on the exchange. There's kind of a price that's set for it that's almost disconnected from the process by which it comes about, from the farmers and the trading. It's just, what is the exchange paying? Well, it's at $1.80 a pound. That's it.
It's good.
I want it for $1.80.
I want it for $1.80
a pound.
But
this is top end geisha. What do you mean you want it?
This is $610 a pound, bro.
Yeah. So there's a whole different market, and that's specialty, and that's what we're about. And that's something that we hope to bring others into, because I think it's once you experience it, when you realize that coffee can have this flavor that sometimes matches more closely with the aroma, with the way it smells. It's enlightening and exciting.
Yeah. Enlightening and exciting. It's more than just a caffeine delivery system.
But it's also got caffeine.
It's an experience.
It's an experience.
It's an experience. That's all I got, unless you got a brew tip of the week.
That's all you got?
Yeah.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it. The only thing I would mention, brew tip of the week.
Brew tip of the week.
If you're using an Aeropress, which you should be because it's a great brewer.
It really is.
A lot of people, when you first get it, you look at it and you think it makes a small cup of coffee, and it does, and it's great at that. And it makes a small cup of coffee a small, strong cup of coffee. Some say it's kind of like a quasi espresso maker, in the field.
It will be once I get my device from Fellow, the little cap. In fact, big shout out to Fellow. You can still get that. I want to know. I can't remember what it's called though, but I can't
either. But you can't say Fellow without that little
Fellow. No, I can't. Am I supposed to be able to?
Well, anyway. So yeah, that will help increase the pressure, I think.
Yeah, it helps increase the pressure, and it is called.
I can't wait for that Facebook video.
Prismo.
That Facebook video
the
with
Fellow
all over the counter. I can just see it now.
Prismo.
I was trying not to make a mess, but
Prismo.
So anyway, the one thing with the Aeropress, keep in mind, you can brew a strong cup, but you can still keep your ratio. If you like a 16-to-1 cup, You're not going to be able to get all that water in the brew chamber.
What?
If you're making a
What about if I use both brew
standard?
chambers?
You can make like a 240-gram cup.
What about
max.
if I use both brew chambers? Hello, Tetsu.
You still can't combine them and
Looking at
press
you.
it out. Well, this makes
Looking
sense,
at
right?
you,
If the
Tetsu.
max capacity of the Aeropress is 240, but I can double that, perfect. We can have, roughly 500 grams.
rock it.
That sounds like math you would be doing, buddy.
I got a question for you on the Aeropress here for this brew tip of the week, since you're rocking the Aeropress. Sometimes my coffee is so alive that I pour some in. I pour 100 grams in and I give it a little stir.
Yeah.
And then I might give it a 50 more and it all the way to the top.
Yeah, your max.
And then as time goes on, so now I'm maybe at 45 seconds or whatever, it shrinks down.
Yeah.
Because the coffee was so lively, now the gases are released, it shrinks down and there's room for more. Should I add more even though it's been 45 seconds, a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Should I keep
It's a good
adding
question.
coffee all the way up to a minute and a half?
Yeah. And that's where I was kind of going with it. So, and that's a good point. What you can do, since the Aeropress is an immersion method like French press, you generally don't need a bloom phase because you're going to hit it with all the water anyway. But like Jake just mentioned, you can't because
It's coming out. It's bubbling
it's
out
coming
everywhere.
out. So, a couple things.
You can hit it with more than twice the amount of coffee, typically. I mean,
Exactly.
you can hit it with that initial bloom amount, but I can't get 200 grams in there
You
right
can't
away.
fill it up. So one thing you can do is actually do a bloom, hit it with double, let it bloom for 30, 45 seconds.
Give it a stir.
Let it calm down, give it a stir. Yeah, get it all saturated, get all the
Calm down, little coffee.
the gas
Calm
out.
down.
And then
go.
hit it with the rest of the water that you can fit. Generally, I shoot for 200.
If you have a baby, right? Sometimes do you do the little baby gas exercise where you push their legs up? And you're like, get that little gas out.
Yeah,
get
the
that
little
gas out.
bicycles.
Yeah,
Little
that's what
bicycles.
I do with the Aeropress.
Come on.
Get that little gas
Come
out.
on now.
Come on now, coffee.
So you can let it calm down, hit it with the rest. But there's times you just can't get all the water in. Or
Calm down or I'm going to hit you with this boiling water, coffee.
stay back. Because there's nothing worse, especially in the morning, than just bubbling that thing all over the counter.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Well, there's worse.
They're knocking it over completely.
There's worse, but that's bad.
But what I like to do is, because you're right, sometimes I shoot for 200, but I've extremely active coffee, maybe I only hit 170. I don't like to add more. I call it good. I put the cap on to keep the heat in, let it brew for its minute 30 or whatever recipe you're doing. And then I think it's within the ballpark. I'll hit it with just a little bit more hot water at the end to bring that ratio up. And that's what my brew tip was with the Aeropress. If you don't like such a strong cup, it is okay to add a little water at the end. Now, just keep in mind, you do want to brew a stronger cup. So you're using less water, so you might have to go a little bit finer. And especially your time is a little less.
Yeah.
You're not giving it as much time. You're doing a minute 30. You need a little bit finer so that you have more surface area on those grounds for the water to extract.
Do you use 185? Do you use 200? What temperature do you use?
For the Aeropress?
For your Aeropress.
I still...
Because they recommend between 175 and 195 or something along those lines. A little
bit lower. Yeah, I still keep it kind of up. I use 93, 94 degrees Celsius, which is right around 200, 201. But you've experimented going less.
I really like 185. I've really had great
I've not had good
flavors
experience with it.
But here's the thing. I won't use a fruity, flowery coffee in the Aeropress anymore.
Yeah.
I use the base.
You stick to the...
I go with the chocolatey, the nutty, kind of the ones, those coffees to which I am going to add cream and sugar. Those go in my Aeropress.
They perform a little better in there.
The other ones, they go in either the fellow or the blue bottle. I don't even mess around with them. And
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I gravitate when I think of the coffee. I think, okay, what brew method is going to accentuate this coffee better?
I'm not saying that I found the end all be all, but that's been my empirical evidence here. That my experience has led me to gravitate towards different devices for different coffee.
A nice Ethiopian or Kenyan, the pour over. You just want to go with the pour over. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have a great cup at the Aeropress using it.
You can.
You sure can. But you're right. So that's the water temperature I like to use. Third wave water, which if you're not sure what third wave water is,
we haven't plugged third wave water.
It's an additive.
Lately.
Your water is extremely important. You cannot expect to get the most out of your coffee if you're just using straight up tap water.
Which is interesting because we still include third wave water in all of our coffee orders.
We do.
We have from the beginning.
We want people to experience it. We want them to experience what we're getting.
Yeah, and we have sweet little cards in there. We've got 2 packets for every a bag of coffee that we sell. We put 2 packets
enough to brew the whole.
because
12 ounces.
2 gallons of water will
Get
take
you
care
through
of
it.
we'll get you through it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. We don't talk about them much anymore. We need to.
Use your water if you can't. If you don't want to use third wave, at least filtered water is good.
Natural spring water.
We've used spring water, and we've had good results with that. But you need good water. So at the end of it, if you're shooting for a 300 gram amount of water in for your recipe, and you can only get 200 in the Aeropress, 170, it's okay to add a little bit of hot water at the end. Bring that brew ratio up. Now, if you find that it's a little weak, a little under extracted,
pour that water out.
You just dump it right out. You just next time go a little bit finer on the grind.
Oh,
a little bit finer, or you can let it steep just a little bit longer to increase the extraction time.
Can I run it through another Aeropress? Can I put more grinds in an Aeropress? Dump my coffee in there and then.
Buddy, you can do whatever makes you happy.
Okay.
Right? If that has value to you, then it's valuable.
Nice. You know what else has value to me?
What's that?
Shutting this show down.
Shut it down. Yeah. And remember, my friends, stick to 500 milligrams or less.
That's the new catchphrase?
It was like a PSA, like a reminder. Enjoy your coffee. It's like at the end of those alcohol commercials. They always say drink responsibly. They show you like people going crazy, running through the night, doing something. And then at the end, they're like, but remember,
drink responsibly.
Don't do anything you just saw in this commercial.
Perfect.
While you're drinking.
While you're drinking. Right. You can't do anything that you normally see inside the commercial.
Yeah. Unless you have a designated driver or you're hitting up Uber or Lyft.
Is it Uber or Uber?
Depends where you're from.
Uber.
Thank you so much for catching episode 73 of the Orange Cactus Coffee Podcast. You can find the show notes at orangecactuscoffee.com/episode 73. Appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.